Today it's time for a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2. It's time for a Terran versus Zerg, where we are starting off on the Celestial Enclave. Alright, glad we got that out of the way. I feel like it's been a little bit since I've said those words. Playing right here in red, in the top right-hand corner. Playing with the Zerg. We have none other than Solar. Solar. Okay, now I'm done. Spotting in the bottom left, playing in blue. We have ByuN. No more reverb. Reverb has now been banned for the remainder of this recording. Recording. Okay, no. That was it. It's going to be a hatchery first here for Solar. No surprise whatsoever. Solar has been very impressive as of late. I really like what Solar has been up to for pretty much all the games I've seen him play. Usually it's not too spicy, but it's just stellar, straight up StarCraft 2. And he does it in every matchup. And he seems to do it better, honestly, than, well, pretty much all the Zerg players out there. We see Rogue, of course, messing around with a lot of that mass overseer style in this particular matchup. We have guys like Shin, guys like Raynor that are maybe mixing it up a little bit more. I feel like Solar rarely mixes it up a ton, but just consistently wins against the very best players on the planet. He's a bit predictable, though, and I feel like that might work against him. Of course, ByuN is somebody that, well, we have seen perform ridiculously well. ByuN, of course, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2 as well. But I will be honest with you, especially in Terran versus Protoss, in some of the games that I've seen ByuN play, I just haven't been too impressed. It looks a little bit uninspired. Maybe it just happened to be the series that I watched, because ByuN plays in basically anything. If you ask ByuN to participate in a tournament, it is very likely that he will play, because he just really enjoys the game, and, well, I think he does the majority of his practice these days in tournaments too. I highly doubt that he's got time to play in, like, say, custom practice as well, or maybe ladder games. I don't think he does a whole lot of that. He mostly just plays in the daily tournaments and the weekly events that happen in SC2, and he wins quite a few of them. But sometimes, I guess because he plays at weird hours, because that's the one downside, I guess, right? When you do decide to participate in, I don't know, like tournaments organized by the French community or the Korean community or the Chinese community or the English. It just gets a little bit confusing, because some of them will be played at 4 in the morning and others are going to be played at 4 in the afternoon, right? And just staying awake for all of it. I wonder if that has any effect on it, but staying awake for all of it is not so easy. It's going to be a triple command center opener, though, here for the Terran, and a rather greedy one at that as well. We're building the third base on location, but of course, Celestial Enclave, it does have that nice pocket base. Will we go for a second barracks, or are we going to go for a factory and then into a starport here? For the time being, he doesn't have the gas just yet for a starport. I think that will probably be the follow-up, although he could go second barracks as well. I know that ByuN has been favoring that a little bit more, so rather than going Hellion Benchy, he may very well opt to go for Hellions straight into Bio. Overlord Scout is moving in. And even though Solar isn't going to see the timing... Oh, actually, he already has seen it. Never mind. I was going to say he hasn't seen the timing of the opponent's third. He has seen the opponent's third base timing. And he now also sees the green light on inside of that tech lab. So that's going to give him basically all of the info that he needs. Yeah, and at this point, no secret here of ByuN is safe. No secret is safe. No sister is... No system. System. Right. GLA Postal Service. No, sorry. This is not Generals. Different RTS game. Although I will say the voice lines in Command & Conquer Generals. Let's just say that if that game released in 2026... I think a lot of the voice acting they did for that game would not pass the checks. I don't think a lot of people would appreciate it. Oh, it's so good. Anyways, double Evo Chamber coming up inside of the natural expansion of Solar. So it looks to me like he wants to opt for that. Ooh, never mind. He cancels Burrow. I think he wants to go for the double upgrades before Lair, before Baneling Nest. It's a pretty greedy way to play. But when you can get away with it, it is powerful. The problem is, in this sort of setup, I guess Solar has seen it, right? He's seen the timing of Stimpack. He's never going to be able to finish up Baneling speed in time for Stimpack anyways. So maybe you may as well just be a little bit greedier and go for double upgrades before Lair. It does mean, though, that Baneling speed is going to be delayed for a long time. Kind of missing the +1 melee here. I'm assuming, at least, that will be the follow-up. Oh, he fires up a lair. Wait, so we went for... Why did we go double Evo Chamber, go only Carapace upgrade? And then go lair as the first thing. I guess he didn't really want to go for a later than 5 minutes lair. He probably got distracted by the Hellions here. Yeah, the gas timing is a bit out of whack. Baneling Nest coming up now, too. I hope for Solar's sake that he hasn't accidentally forgotten the +1 melee. Because I think it was supposed to be +1/+1 and then into a lair. We do not see such a mistake on the other side of the map. ByuN already opting for a very nice and quick double engineering bay. Mining a whole load of resources. Getting the armory done as well at a reasonable time. I don't think it's going to be for Hellbats, although it could be. But it's mostly just here to get the +2/+2 started up. I actually played through Generals again about a year or so ago at this point, after not playing it for many, many years. That game still holds up. Actually, I feel like that's... Maybe I'm just a sucker for real-time strategy games, but I feel like all the old RTS games that I played back in the day, I feel like all of them hold up really quite nicely. Maybe I just really like RTS games, and maybe it's nostalgia, I don't know. But if you've never played, say, for example, StarCraft 1 before, it's still 100% worth playing. Yeah, you can pick it up for a few buckies. Well worth it. I do still want to replay Red Alert 2. I loved playing Red Alert 2 back in the day, but... I wonder how painful it is, because I don't think you have, like, a right-click in that game, do you? Is that only just a... I don't recall. Anyways, ByuN going in. On the other side of the map, likewise, though, we have Solar moving through with a little Overlord drop. Ooh. There are, by the way, some Hellbats here. I'm a little bit surprised by it. Yeah, so are those Hellbats. They did not get picked up. What about the Zergling group inside of the pocket base? Neither player really achieving a whole lot. But I think overall, that is better for Solar. It's a more passive beginning here of the game for Solar, despite the fact that this is a greedy start for ByuN. Generally speaking, Zerg, they do prefer having that more passive, laid-back approach. I think he must have forgotten, by the way. +1 melee did start up eventually. Hydra then now on the back of this together with a Hive. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see a Lurker then in just a moment from Solar. Maybe just get a few Vipers, because all of this is a bit disjointed. I think that's my main criticism here of what Solar is doing. Like, all of the moves he's making are fine, but it does feel just a little bit messy. None of the upgrades are in sync. None of the upgrades line up with anything else. But if you're planning on playing defensively, as we have a Widow Mine trying its best. Okay. If you're planning on playing defensively and get those upgrades done eventually, I mean, it's okay. Not a big problem. Second factory now coming up as well for our Terran player. Fourth command center, already most of the way done. And there's barracks 6, 7, and then also 8. Okay. Celestial Enclave in general, a pretty funny map as far as expansion patterns go. I've mentioned this a few times already in the past, but this map is... It's very easy to take, like, your first 5 bases on, and then it feels like it gets impossible real quick, even though there are a lot of mineral lines available. The first ones are easy peasy, and then as the game progresses, like, how in the world do you take this? How do you... Even the ones off to the side, these are so easy to attack. So, there are a lot of mineral lines available, but some of them are pretty much impossible to mine. Honestly, this feels like a gold base to me, like a gold and a rich Vespian gas geyser type of base. Instead, it's neither of the two. Usually, the more dangerous bases in StarCraft are the ones that are... the ones that give you a little bit more money. Lurker speed, Lurker ranged, all of it will be coming. Vipers now on the production tab as well. +2 melee, eventually. It's all slow, right? But Solar has built up a huge economy. He has deflected every attack from ByuN pretty much the way that he wanted to. And while this is not a perfect game for Zerg, it is very solid. ByuN getting the armor upgrade going first, because of course he is. Bumping out a ton of Marines. And I think we'll probably start up the command center flood in a moment. That's another thing, I guess, that I have... Ooh, nice targeting over here. That is something I have criticized ByuN for a little bit again as of late, where ByuN has a bit of a command center addiction. I've seen him go north of like 30 command centers in a single game, and then literally have no minerals to mine anymore. Like, it gets up to a point where he can technically mine out a base in like 3 minutes with just mules. But then there are no more mineral lines available on the map because everything's been mined out. It's a really weird problem. Parabomb? Yeah, Parabomb is real good. And it's really annoying for ByuN to have to deal with this, right? So it seems that Zerk is just kind of everywhere. Zerk is pushing all of these attacks back. And thus far, while Solar hasn't really been attacking very much himself, I think now is the time for him to strike. If he can get lurkers within range of the planetary, it's so difficult for Terran to break out. We don't yet have ghosts, we don't yet have liberators. And while the lurkers aren't fully upgraded yet, they're getting to that point. ByuN is going to have to scan and target them down. So many Hydras, though, or so many Marines here, though, rather. Yeah, I think it's just barely enough. That may have been the scariest point in the game, though, for ByuN. Sometimes if there's like 8 lurkers, you just can't break it. And you lose this base, you lose the command center that's building. Suddenly you're stuck on just 3 bases, and Zerk has what feels like the entirety of the map. But ByuN holds that. And now the Ghost Academy is done. And I would love to see some ghosts added into the mix. Widow Mines for the time being, though. Middle base here. The one that does have a rich gas geyser. I don't know why this one has it and the other ones don't. Anyhow. Widow Mine there. Dealing more friendly fire than it did to the Zerk. Finally, though, ByuN gets a bit of damage in with these drops. I think this is attempt number 6 or so. Immediate counterattack yet again from Solar, who now has those lurkers out, and they're just so freaking dangerous. Is there enough, though, for the Zerk to actually defend at home whilst also simultaneously attacking? Planetary Fortress will likely disappear, but so will this base. An eye for an eye, it looks like. Actually, 2 eyes lost on the side of Solar, because that was the second hatchery that died to this drop. Reinforcing Zerk units are now popping out of their cocoons, but, well, Marine Marauder Medevac Mine is still very nice to have. The other command center did fly, and it's going to be setting up a planetary here again if possible. Solar, though, still has a massive economy. And even though he did lose a few bases, it'll be difficult for ByuN to really stop the flood. Solar's just going to power this up more and more. Would love to see the rich Vespian gas geyser taken there too. Just such an efficient base to be mining. Oh, lurkers will burrow over here. Banelings are going to start blowing up the natural expansion's wall. And, well, maybe they don't even need to use up their lives. Suddenly, there will be multiple entrances into the swarms, or into the side of the Terran, right? For the swarm to run through. ByuN recognizes that this is not going anywhere. He cannot stop the non-stop advance. And that means that Solar wins game number 1. Next up, Winter Madness. Solar doing Solar things. Just defend. Yeah, if you're struggling as a Zerk player, just defend. And then eventually overwhelm. Just make sure you deal with the double, maybe triple drop aggression from ByuN. And then overwhelm him with stuff. It's so easy. Why doesn't everybody do it? No, honestly, that was a classic Solar game. Solar has been very impressive as of late. And what I like about it, right? And why I think, yeah, he may be... Look, it depends on how active Serral is going to be moving forward, but Solar has been phenomenal lately. And what I like about it is that he doesn't play too cheeky. He doesn't really rely on risks. Say, for example, if you look at those Shin games, Shin is going Spire almost every time, but when your Spire gets spotted or your opponent sniffs out that mutas are coming, they can counter it really well. Solar doesn't rely on any tricks. He just plays really solid StarCraft. I don't really know how I can word it any better than that. Most people crumble under the pressure. Solar does not. Now, I will say that sometimes he's a bit predictable, right? So you don't really see him go for like a proxy hatchery. What we've been seeing from both Rogue and then also, of course, from Raynor. They've been going proxy hatchery against Terran lately. We don't really see him go for any sort of Roach Ravager all-ins. Not very common. In theory, Terran can counter it quite nicely. But it's not always the case. maybe that could hold him back a little bit. I actually think there's real potential for Raynor to take the crown as well. Like, Raynor is extremely good, ridiculously fast, and lately, even though he sometimes struggles actually stringing the wins together, maybe a little bit too momentum heavy, like a little bit too momentum heavy, where it's difficult to win consistently all of the time. When Raynor is on fire, he just plays ridiculously well. Anyhow, the title for best Zerg in the world, it really shouldn't be up for grabs. But Cyril doesn't really play in a lot of tournaments. So, yeah. People start speculating. Ooh. Are we faking Stimpack, ByuN? Is that what we're doing? But if we're faking Stimpack, we could also just make Stimpack and actually start it up. I think he's still going to start it up. He has 100 gas available. Yeah, so he faked Stimpack and then he started it up again after the Overlord died. So now Solar believes that ByuN is going Stimpack, and ByuN is going Stimpack. Brilliant, really. Now, of course, he's trying to fake out maybe like a Hellbat timing attack or something along those lines. But that timing was very narrow. Double Engineering Babe coming up right at the front lines, and we have a third command center already landed. Cloaking Field is going to finish up for the Banshees. No longer, by the way, do we really see the Terrans mix up and go for, like, the Banshee speed upgrade first? Remember how when the patch was first live, all the Terrans were going speed first? And then for a while we saw only speed. And now we go and basically either play, like, Banshees without upgrades or only Cloak. Bit weird. I still feel like speed across the board is better than Cloak, but... maybe that's just me. Alright, let's see. We are gonna need to get a little bit of detection. Yet again, though. Solar coming in here right at the perfect moment. Perfect defense, right? There's a zero complaint about that here. ByuN thought he had his opponent exactly where he wanted him to, but Solar shows up with additional queens off to the side, more transfusion energy available. Overseer's right at the perfect time. He had his mineral lines protected. No damage really done here by the Hellions. No damage done here by the Banshees either. And while this is, of course, a quick, third command center from ByuN, so he doesn't really need to deal a lot of damage, ByuN is trying to get the momentum going. He wants to get the snowball rolling. Solar says no. That's all he said. No, you don't get to attack me. Hive comes up. Baneling Nest right now, too. Armor upgrades on the back of this. We have Roach speed, but I don't think it's going to be Roaches for too much longer. I think we go into probably Ultralisks from here. It's the thing that makes the most sense. 1-1 though on the horizon here for ByuN, and he is going to check it out again. The problem is, of course, Roaches are really strong defensively. Roach speed is done. Glial Reconstitution, so I think with Corrosive Biles and a bunch of Roaches in the front, he should be okay. Here we go. Lings run forward. ByuN decides to unsiege the tank. There's no Medivacs nearby. Do we have a few of them running through? Well, it's already too late as Solar decides to target it down. No risk. He decides to leave. As soon as he leaves the creep, he turns back around and leans into the Baneling speed, and then probably that Hive. Maybe a few Vipers, Adrenal Glands for certain. He's got 4 base economy right now. Dude, I love what Solar has been doing. I know I say this every time, but seriously. Nothing's really happened this game that did not go exactly according to plan for Solar. Adrenal Glands indeed. Vipers indeed. Ultras are going to be coming up as well. Now we do need to make sure we prioritize armor upgrades in the evolution chamber. ByuN cannot really be fighting this type of army with only like +1 carapace, but I'm sure Solar is going to be all over that too, so let's see. Evo chamber upgrades finish up right now. How quick will we start up the +2? He's busy dancing in the middle of the map. He's actually just spent his gas. Oh, there we go. All right. He just spent his gas on some additional Banelings. A few additional Ravagers as well. And this is now becoming extremely important for ByuN. Like, he cannot really keep these pushes going and not achieve anything. Still, though, he knows that there's no centrifugal hooks. He decided to turn those Hellions into Hellbats as well. Centrifugal hooks, though, is just seconds away from being done now, and the roly-polies will be handy. Vipers are coming. Yep, they're already getting energy up, so Blinding Clouds over here, not a bad idea. I love this, though, from ByuN. Denying the 5th would be big. Queen's run on over, but the hatchery is not done, so they cannot transfuse. Okay. Cancel. Instant rebuild. About the best case scenario. Vipers are going to be joining, though, and there they are. I think it's time for ByuN to either retreat or commit. Sitting here, you're just a sitting duck. Don't do it. Blinding Clouds are real nice. Terran army gets disabled. Keep in mind that the Roaches and the Ravagers will also be reduced to just 1 range, but the Lings and the Banes run through everything, and the Blinding Clouds are left behind as the Terran army has to run home. Corrosive Balls, I mean, the Siege Tank and the Choke was nice. Secondary push yet again on the left side, though. This time around, joined by a bunch of medevacs. Another hatchery kill, another hatchery cancel. And I'm assuming we'll restart it up here in just a moment's time. So, ByuN is getting some things done. It's nothing to write home about. There is a 4th base on the back of this, but this is a pretty good beginning of the game here for Solar. Or for ByuN, I would say, but I don't think Solar's too bothered. The problem is it's the 5th, right? If that was the 4th getting denied, it's an entirely different story. Solar doesn't really critically need a 5th base yet. Big power spike, though, just about to come online for the Zerg. +2/+2 together with chitinous plating. Ultras are kind of dumb, though. They're walking around, can't really make their way towards the mineral line. And I think this would be a perfect moment for Solar to test the waters on the other side of the map. Let's look at the defenses for ByuN. Yeah, it's just an open planetary fortress and a little bit of SimCity down over here at the 3rd base, but nothing too crazy. ByuN decides to actually meet this army out in the open. Blinding Clouds might be nice. Parasitic Bombs also good, though. Nice split there from ByuN. Blinding Clouds and, yeah, really making it difficult for this Terran army to engage. But I will say, usually it's the first influx of those Ultras, right? When they first get their armor upgrade, that they are at their scariest. And ByuN has managed to defend that portion of the game. ByuN, by the way, doing ByuN things here yet again. Not going into Ghosts. And likewise, also not going into Liberators. I don't know why. He's going into a Reaper instead. That must be a mistake. Couple Ravagers here mispositioned. ByuN does take a bunch of damage. Infestors will be joining the fray in just a moment, and so is a Spire here for Solar. So Solar already prepared to potentially deal with some sort of, like, Liberator transition, but it's not coming. Ghost Academy now on the production tab as well, but ByuN keeps on running around the creep, trying to snipe as many bases as he can, and it looks like he's gonna be able to get indeed another one checked off the list. Fungal Growth, Parasitic Bomb, a wombo combo in StarCraft 2, but there's already a 2nd push on the left side as well. ByuN trying to see if he can become the Swarm as the Terran. Fungal Growth, though, makes it easy for the Ultras and the Banes to close the distance, and it's really dangerous. Looks like we had a continued push over here on the right as well. Hatchery in the far bottom left gets spotted, and ByuN is really putting his foot on the gas, trying to play this as quickly as possible. A few misread units. We had that random Reaper as well. Not exactly sure why he decided to run here, but just a little misclick from ByuN, I'm sure. Ultras getting targeted down. Nice stutter step micro here by the Terran. Widowmine left behind. Marauder also left behind. Serving as bait to get as many Zerglings to connect. Yeah, and Ultraling Bane doesn't really have the same counter-attack possibility, right? Like, not like Lurkers. You're not really too worried of this type of army, even though it's still scary. I think Lurkers are a lot more terrifying. Planetary Fortress here with mass repair is good. The choke point here is quite tight. Terrans love tight choke points, dude. That's what I've been told anyways. They love it. It means they can deal maximum amounts of splash damage. Anyways, Fungal Growth over here would be nice. Nice EMP, though, from ByuN, preventing exactly that. Parasitic Bombs, not gonna happen. Overextension from Solar. Reinforcing links, though, come through. There's a literal minefield out here. Nice connections by the Terran. I can't help but wonder if ByuN is making this game really hard on himself by being so late with the transition towards, well, units that actually reliably counter Ultras, but it worked anyways. New base building right now for ByuN. Planetary Fortress coming up in the middle of the map. Top right-hand corner taken by Solar, but no creep connecting any of this. The drones are gonna just make a run for it. Loads of Ultras coming up, though, for Solar. This is one of 2 late games that Solar regularly plays. Either it's the Hydra Lurker Lingbane, or it's the Ultra Lingbane. This one is not usually followed, though, with any sort of Nidus play, so I feel like the longer that this game goes on, the better it's going to be for ByuN. At least I think ByuN much prefers playing against this type of late game than the one with the Lurkers, even though none of it is easy, and that's a planetary down. 17 SCVs bite the dust. Oh man, so many Ultras. Another parasitic bomb in the mix, too. Ghosts are desperately trying to snipe whatever they can, but they're most of the time used as a stutter step mechanic. And sadly, they cannot use Stimpaks. Bottom left-hand base also taken now by Solar, who is getting that base in the upper right going. ByuN has not really had any chances to fly medevacs around the map in a while. And that's another reason why this non-stop aggression from Solar is so scary. ByuN needs to be careful that he does not get overwhelmed just by the sheer amount of stuff. We're talking a 90 worker economy right now for Solar, so he can keep this going all day. Look at the income advantage. ByuN losing the base over here does make it, quite difficult for Terran. Is this the old main? No, it's just an extra orbital command. Now flying towards the 5th. Okay. Personal cloaking for ghosts. It will be a nice upgrade, but you're kind of wanting, at this point as a Terran, as we have another hatchery snipe, it looks like. Yeah. You kind of want to get... Oh, we don't. Brenda coming in clutch with a transfusion. You're looking for liberators here. You're looking for additional command centers. You're looking for, like, building armor, high-sec auto-tracking, Caduceus reactor, advanced ballistics. Like, all of those really good late-game upgrades for Terran, and ByuN has none of it. So while he's kind of holding on here, and I don't hate the spot for Terran, it's scary here for Terran. Those fungals are real nice. I think Solar is now also realizing that. He can keep throwing away units. The cost efficiency here of the Zerg honestly needs to be noted. It's really not that bad whatsoever, considering how much more mining Solar has been doing for such a long time. ByuN doesn't know about the base in the bottom left, but he is flying medevacs in this direction. This is the easiest base for him to kill. It's really not very far from his new expansion, but... Okay, drone transfer will be scouted. Immediate move out here from Terran. Keep in mind, though, that the new base that ByuN just took is just an orbital command. This hatchery will die, it looks like. No clutch Brenda transfuses this time around. It will be a hatchery kill, but it's only one of the few that ByuN needs to shut down. Bank at this point heavily in favor of the Zerg. And I will say that sometimes ByuN gets a little bit carried away with this sort of momentum as well, right? He tries to gain that momentum, but then he kind of forgets getting the extra stuff out. So in this particular series so far, he really hasn't gotten up to the orbital command count that he really needs. Only 5? It's not terrible. But you would prefer having about 12 here. Fungal. Yet again. Changelings in the back as well. Almost like serving as a Zerg force field. Making it really difficult to stutter step through. Okay. Now the command center count is building. I would love to see a fusion core as well here for ByuN. All of it is costly though, and it takes a long time. So if you kind of feel like you're on the verge of being broken, it doesn't make much sense, right, to invest into a future. Base in the top right though gets scanned. Infestor likewise also goes down before it does much. Widowmines over here leading the party, dealing a bunch of friendly fire. I think for now, Solar's base in the upper right is safe. Counter-attack here from the Zerg as well, moving through to the left side. Little Marine Marauder hit squad moving in the same angle, but I don't think you guys are going to win the fight against the Ultras. Mass repair is going to be nice, but what about the Banelings? They're rolling around the site, and I think this is going to be a lot of SCV losses as well. 13 of those bad boys at the start of it. Corruptors, though, are flying through no man's land. In the meantime, we have the Marines shutting down both Ultralisks and then also a bunch of Banes. Command center in the left side of the map. It does live. Hatchery in the top right. I don't think it's going to be so lucky. 17 SCVs died on the side of the Terran. but likewise also 10 drones did. And most importantly, the hatchery falls, whereas the command center didn't. Okay. More orbitals coming up. There are some Widow Mines, though, trying to protect all of this. Looks like ByuN is thinking about pushing through this as well. It's not that big a Terran army, but there's not that much available for Solar. A lot of the units still inside of the safety of their cocoons. Ultra goes down before it can really engage. More and more Ling Bane, though, shows up. Corruptors up in the air, just getting rid of any medevac. It's 11 Corruptors. Lings, in the meantime, try to make their way and break open the third base and the natural expansion. Bottom left-hand corner under attack as well by ByuN, who once more decides to fire up the momentum, and he may just be getting what he's been aiming for this entire time, but the question is, at what cost? So many SCVs are dying. The Marauders are left over. Same can be said for the ones in the bottom left. Loads of bases die on the side of the Zerg. But likewise, Terran is losing a big chunk of their economy. And now with the Zerg reinforcements making a beeline towards this expansion, can ByuN actually keep it going? A few supply depots will bleed out. But still did those hatcheries, right? So both the right side as well as the left side of Solar's expansions, they will indeed bleed out. But we have new ones. Restart it up. And as the dust is settled, I think this is still much better for Solar, who will be aiming for one fungal growth for all the marbles. Oi, 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 fungal. Well, he changed it up once more. We have an additional one in the mix, and I think that seals the deal. Oh, a very close game yet again, but Solar is just such a beast, coming right at the perfect time and getting the job done. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Mothership. ByuN playing some really solid StarCraft. The problem is, his opponent is playing solider StarCraft. That's how words work, right, in English? Good, gooder, goodest. Solid, solider, solidist. I'm trying to add a little bit of consistency to the English language, because I will tell you, as somebody that had to learn it, there's very little consistency in English. Nothing makes sense. Ooh, nice snipe over here on the drone, though. To be fair, I think that's the case with most languages out there, but it does seem to me that English is at least more inconsistent than Dutch. But I guess that's also because there's way more people on the planet that speak English than Dutch, so maybe it just moves faster. Or we could just have everybody else learn Dutch, and then I will be casting in Dutch moving forward. Dus de Reaper gaat nu naar de... No, no, we're not. No. No, I can't. Actually, let's all forget about Dutch, and we'll just focus on English instead. I feel like casting in Dutch is gonna be the worst thing ever. It's weird. I've had a lot of people request this over the years, that I maybe do like a Dutch cast for like, I don't know, April's Fools or whatever. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know if I can. I feel like it's way harder for me to talk and cast in Dutch than it is to do the same thing in English. I kind of cringe whenever I hear myself speak Dutch. I don't really mind my voice, though, when I'm speaking English. All right, Ling run by over here to start things off. This is very committed from Solar. I don't know if I really love it, but if he can break into the natural expansion and into the main, that'd be big. Reaper does end up going down. 4 SCVs for the time being. What's nice here for ByuN is that this is not a triple command center start. So it's only 2 CCs in total. And Solar obviously committed pretty heavily there to get that push done. He lost pretty much all the Lings. 20 Zerglings, could have been 10 drones. So for basically the equivalent of 10 drones, he killed 6 SCVs. I don't think this is the end of the world here for ByuN. ByuN, though, doesn't have that third command center, right? And without the third CC, his eco will be smaller than it has been in the previous games of this series. Oh, nice. This is really good for ByuN. Oh, line him up! Line him up! Oh. ByuN was hosting a barbecue. Solar didn't even know. Yeah, this is exactly what you want this Terran. 6 SCVs killed, 9 drones thus far. And obviously the follow-up, well, we still have some Hellions for defense for the Terran. And then Banshees on the back of this as well. No cloaking. No, we already have the cloaking done. I was going to say, I thought I saw it on the production tab. Now, that could have been a lot worse for Solar, though, who was droning during all of that. So he lost a ton of workers, but then also remade quite a few of them. This is one of those annoying things for Terran, where you feel like you killed the entire mineral line worth, and then you look at the actual worker count and you realize you're still behind. This Banshee, though, putting in a ton of damage as well. 5 confirmed drone kills. It's gonna die eventually. Rest in pieces. Literally. But I don't think this is all too bad here for ByuN. He probably kind of wishes, though, that he went for a 3rd CC a little sooner than this. Usually the option is you go for the 3rd command center, well, either before the starport or after the starport, and it all depends on when you take the 2nd refinery. So, yeah, it's a bit of rock, paper, scissors. I think against this particular style from Zerg, you do want to have a 3rd command center a bit quicker, but I mean, the Banshees have been effective, and obviously the Hellions likewise so as well. Stimpak is done. Combat shields on the back of this together with 1-1. All of this is lined up to be done right around the same time, so ByuN could go for a really big push. And with the way that Solar is progressing, yes, he does have a lair, but the Baneling Nest didn't even start up yet. Really just getting the lair for the Overseers. I'm a little bit concerned here for the timing of Bane speed. Baneling speed is absolutely critical as we go for even more drones. Okay. Ay. We just keep hosting barbecues. What an annoying little wedge over here. Look at where he's... he wedged himself in between, somehow, some way, the perfect setup. I think Solar is making a mental note already. Never put an Evo chamber ever there again, because it's terrible. It's one of those things you only learn by losing. Armory for ByuN. 3rd CC flies on over towards that location of the mineral line, and, well, Terran is just about ready to go for a push. The previous attacks have all been pretty YOLO from ByuN, right? He's just going in and crossing his fingers, hoping to maximize the damage. This will be a proper committed push. Killing this base would be massive. Problem is, Baneling speed is only halfway done. How is Zerg going to defend this? With Queens off creep, slow Banelings? I mean, it might be doable, but it's going to be real expensive. Good targeting there by ByuN. Wow. Solar looks at it. He agrees. He decides to just rip off the Band-Aid himself. Next up, Ruby Rock. Apparently, we are ready to mix things up a little bit. Interesting position for some proxy wrecks, but I think that is what it's going to be. Yep. We decide to go for a good old cheese. Oh, even the 3rd one will be sent out as well. So this is a complete all-in from ByuN. This is not something you can transition away from unless you deal critical amounts of damage. Okay. There's only a handful of SCVs at home. Obviously, he did make a few more just to, well, actually have some saturation. But this is something that will have to kill the Zerg, or I guess you end up losing the series. Solar sending an Overlord roughly in this direction. He's not going to see it in time, but he may very well stumble upon it. The problem is you kind of want to shut this down as a Zerg, preferably before the first Rex finishes up. Sending drones if you see it early enough is really nice. Now Solar is going to pick up on one of the barracks. Yeah, we'll park it apparently right over here. Give a nice little breeze as well for that Overlord that will be hanging above it. But I don't really know if it's the ideal location, though. Because if you just lift up one of the Rexes, then high ground vision will be provided. SCVs are going to move forward. Yep. Bunkers need to be prevented. So Solar is already sending the boys down to the low ground. He pulled out of gas entirely. Starts up a Spine Crawler. Spine Crawler right next to a bunker. Let's see. Is this going to work out? I think you can easily snipe down the bunker itself. He doesn't really want to, though. He's waiting for links to pop out. Drones do try to get the wrap around. Looks like one Marine will die. Second Marine is dying, too. Loads of drones also full. I think the SCV that is building this is not the main target. I think you probably want to shut down the bunker itself. Spine Crawler, though, is going to finish eventually. Queens are popping out of the racks. Or out of the racks? Out of the hatchery. And while ByuN is not really achieving that much, it seems, I think this is good enough here for the Terran. Already, a lot of damage has been done. The repair is gonna be quite handy. Okay, nice targeting there by Solar. Problem is, this will indeed be killed eventually. And, okay, Solar, upon seeing the spine die, decides to once more tap out. And what was looking like a 3-0 sweep for Solar, 3 minutes later, okay, maybe 5 minutes later, is suddenly a score that is tied up. And that means it all comes down to this. White Rabbit. Final game in this best of 5. Oh, no. Solar seems to have ByuN beat when it comes to the macro game. It's not by a very significant margin, but it does seem that across the board, Solar is more comfortable playing the long match. ByuN, well, he's mixing it up once more. I thought for a moment he was going to send this SCV straight across the map, but that's not the case. This is looking like a double barracks start. Double barracks to wall off the natural expansion. Yep, and then we'll probably have another one of those bad boys go down to the low ground in a moment. This is going to be the Reaper variant. So we've seen some Zerg players deal with... When was this? This was Cure going up against... I don't know exactly. Cure versus Raynor, if I recall correctly. I did cast a series similar to this not too long ago. Even though the double barracks start these days is not super common, Cure went for like a Marine variation that I honestly didn't really like that much. I believe that this will be the more classical approach for ByuN. ByuN actually the one that really popularized this build. A couple years ago, this was the go-to for many Terrans. So you go for anywhere between 2 to 5 Reapers with this start. And then you can build a bunch of command centers on the back of it. Now, since Reapers are 50 minerals and 50 gas each, you naturally start stacking up a whole lot of minerals, and the command center production is easy peasy. The main problem, of course, is that you do become rather predictable, and I think that's the reason it fell off. There's usually no Hellion follow-up. You could go for Hellion follow-up, same with like Banshee follow-up, but it all feels a little weird. The most normal thing to do is start off with the Reapers, transition to like tech labs on these barracks, get Stimpak, combat shields, go for a factory, a third barracks, a starport, and then pump out the medevacs. The problem is, it means that there's like a 3-minute lull in the game where Zerg can kind of do whatever. So Solar's main defense will be link speed finishing up. So he's not really delaying it too much. And I think that's the reason it kind of fell off, because Zergs are so used to dealing with this, or at least were so used to dealing with this, that they really used up the time in between the Reapers and then the Terran army with medevacs moving out yet again. They really use that to their advantage. So Solar will know, as soon as he sees the second Reaper, actually he already knows, that this is indeed the follow-up from Terran. And I don't think he's too bothered by it. I don't think this is something that Zerg players will be too annoyed by. He already has the third command or the third hatchery drone rather hidden off to the left. Not a command center. He's actually getting a bit of gas mining still. He went up to 28 additional gas. I would assume we... Ooh, okay. I would assume we take it. That was mispositioned for just a moment, but Solar noticed it in time. Yeah, and has this really been effective? Right? Like, this is by no means a bad spot for Terran. But now that link speed is on the horizon, Solar is going to be able to kill those Reapers or push them all the way home. And at that point, well, Zerg will be able to do whatever they like. Solar already benefiting from it. He's already going drones. He's going for a hidden Roach Warren. Ooh, okay. So, I'm not sure how this works out. Solar wants to maybe go for a Roach all-in against this. It's the only reason why you would go for a hidden Roach Warren and then also an Extractor. What is the follow-up going to be for ByuN? He's going Banshees. This is Stimpak and Banshees. This is a weird follow-up for ByuN. It doesn't make any sense. Zerg doesn't expect Banshees after an early game like this. I think it has to be. I mean, could be Battlecruisers. Could be Ravens. I think those two are very uncommon. Oh, Banshees are exactly what you need. Roaches are already coming, though. And sometimes, even with Banshees out, if Zerg can actually bust through the wall really rapidly... Whoa, no! There ain't no way. What is this? Why are we going for a Raven? Oh no, ByuN is cooking, but he's cooking too hard. This is one of those pots that's been boiling for way too long, man. The water has evaporated already. Put a lid on it, ByuN. What is this? Okay. Well, the roaches are marching. I did not think we were gonna go Raven here. I feel like 9 out of 10 times the follow-up is... oh no, the 9 out of 10 times the follow-up is Medivacs. Zerglings are gonna slow down the retreat of these units. ByuN was thinking about doing a little bit of creep clearing, I suppose? Problem is, at this point, the Marines are already so low and they're fighting right before Stimpack is done. We're about a half-minute away from that, which will treat Solar just fine. The boys have been pulled just to try and buy a little bit of time for this. Nice corrosive bile right there from Solar. Oh man, imagine if there was a Banshee now chipping away at all of this for the last few minutes. Okay, last few seconds. I think this is a disaster for ByuN. Yeah, ByuN decided to play rock, paper, scissors with himself and then was surprised when he threw rock. GG. I can't believe how this series ended. So game number 1 and 2 were solid macro games. Really solid, straightforward macro matches from Solar especially. Game number 3, 4, and then 5. They were certainly a little bit different, but still highly entertaining. It is indeed Solar who obtains the victory, 3-2.